The journey to Yongsong took 8 days. Daeho spent most of the time monitoring Hana's systems. The heart held strong, better than strong. It was still regenerating, growing healthier each day. The synthetic patches were fully integrated now, barely visible. Taejin taught him about dragon navigation, how living ships felt the currents of space, how they could sense gravity wells and radiation patterns. It was beautiful. Organic technology that worked with the universe instead of fighting it. They talked about many things. About peace. About war. About what they might face when they arrived. Taejin's sister had sent more messages. The situation was worse than they thought. The Kitsune allies included 3 other species. All powerful. All angry at dragon aggression. The war was going badly. The council is desperate, Taejin said. He looked at the latest message with sadness. They are calling it a war of survival now, telling people that the Kitsune want to destroy us completely. Is that true? Daeho asked. I do not know. War changes truth, makes it muddy. Everyone becomes the hero of their own story. Everyone claims self-defense. He touched Hana's wall. But I know this. We struck first. We refused peace. Now we are losing and suddenly we are the victims. Daeho understood. He had read about Earth's wars. How each side claimed righteousness. How history was written by winners. How truth died first in any conflict. On the 8th day they approached Yongsong. Daeho saw it through Hana's transparent scales. A blue and green world. Beautiful, just as Taejin had described. But around it debris floated. Pieces of destroyed ships, both dragon and kitsune. The evidence of battle. Transmitting identification codes, Taejin said. He looked nervous. They will either welcome us or shoot us down. Daeho's heart pounded. He checked his supplies. Made sure his emergency suit was ready. If they got blown apart, he wanted to at least try to survive. A response came. Dragon symbols appeared on the wall. Taejin read them and relaxed slightly. We have permission to land. They are directing us to the capital city. He paused. My sister will meet us there. They descended through the atmosphere. Daeho watched the world grow larger. The cities Taejin had described became visible. Living towers. Organic structures that grew from the ground like massive trees. They were beautiful but damaged. Some were broken, burned. The war had reached even here. They landed in a designated area. Other ships were around them. But these were different from Hana. These were warships, darker, covered in weapons, scarred from battle. They looked angry, hungry. The landing platform was crowded with dragons. Hundreds of them. They stared at Hana, at Taejin. Daeho could feel their hostility, their judgment. This was the exile returning, the coward who ran away. Taejin stood tall as the ramp extended. He walked down with dignity. Daeho followed close behind. He felt very small, very human, very out of place. A female dragon pushed through the crowd. She was smaller than Taejin. Her scales were lighter blue, almost silver. She had the same golden eyes. The same gentle face, brother, she said. Her voice broke. Taejin caught her as she collapsed against him. They held each other. Daeho looked away, gave them privacy in this public moment. Finally, they separated. Mirai looked at Daeho. Surprise crossed her face. A human? You brought a human to Yongsong? This is Daeho, Taejin said. He saved Hana's life. He is my friend. Mirai bowed to Daeho, a gesture of deep respect. Then you are welcome here. Any friend of my brother is family, the crowd murmured. Dragons talking among themselves. Daeho caught hostile glances. Not everyone agreed with Mirai's welcome. We must go, Mirai said urgently. Mother does not have much time, and the council wants to see you immediately. They hurried through the city. Daeho tried to take in everything. The living architecture, the way buildings grew and shifted, the dragons flying overhead, the children playing in organic parks. It was amazing, but also sad, because everywhere he looked he saw evidence of war, destroyed sections, memorial stones, families in mourning. Mirai led them to a medical facility. It looked like a massive flower. Petals of living tissue forming rooms and corridors. Inside everything was quiet, peaceful, a place for healing. Their mother was in a private room. She lay on a bed grown from the floor. Her scales were dull, gray. She was old, Daeho realized, very old, and dying from more than just war wounds. Taejin, she whispered when she saw him. You came. Tejan knelt beside her. Took her hand. I came, Mother. I was wrong. The words came slowly, painfully. I should have listened to you. Should have supported you. The war was a mistake. Pride and honor are nothing compared to the lives we lost. Rest, Mother. Save your strength. No, I must say this. She looked at Deho. Who is this? A human who helped me? Who saved Hana? Who came with me to this place even knowing the danger? The old dragon studied Daiho with fading eyes. Humans, she said softly. Small, fragile, but brave. Always brave, she smiled. Thank you for bringing my son home. Daiho bowed. It was an honor. She turned back to Tejan. The council will ask you to fight. To join the war fleets. Do not do it. Do not throw away your principles for them. They were wrong. You were right. Hold to that truth, but if I refuse, they will execute me. Then die with honor. Better that than live with regret. She squeezed his hand. I love you, my son. I am proud of what you stood for. I am sorry I did not say it sooner. Tears streamed down Tejan's face. I love you too, Mother. They stayed with her for 2 hours. Mirai held one hand. Tejan held the other. Deho stood back. Gave them space. This was family. Private. Sacred. When she passed, it was peaceful. Gentle. Like falling asleep. Tejan held her hand long after she was gone. Finally, Mirai gently pulled him away. The council awaits, she said. We must go now. The council chamber was enormous. A circular room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars. 12 elder dragons sat on raised platforms. They looked ancient, powerful, and angry. Tejan walked to the center. Daiho stayed near the entrance. This wasn't his place. But Tejan had asked him to witness, to remember what happened here. Tejan of no family, the head counselor said. You stand accused of cowardice, of abandoning your people in their time of need, of putting personal belief above duty. How do you answer? Tejan stood straight. I am guilty of all those things. I spoke against this war. I refused to fight. I maintain that I was right to do so. The chamber erupted. Dragons shouting, demanding punishment, demanding justice. The head counselor raised a hand. Silence fell. You were wrong. We fought to protect our territory, our way of life. No, Tejan said firmly. We fought because we were too proud to share, too arrogant to negotiate. We started this war, and now we are losing it. Not because we are weak, but because we were wrong. You dare judge us? Someone must. Tejan looked at each counselor. How many have died? How many ships destroyed? How many families broken? All because you could not admit that other species have rights too, that the Kitsune deserved respect, not conquest. They invaded our space. They lived at the border long before we arrived. We are the invaders, not them. Tejan's voice rang through the chamber. I was exiled for speaking this truth. Now that truth has cost us everything, and still you cannot admit it. Deho watched the counselors, saw them shift uncomfortably, saw doubt in some eyes, anger in others, but also shame. Deep hidden shame. What would you have us do? One of the counselors asked. Surrender? No, I would have you seek peace. Real peace. Admit our mistakes. Offer reparations. Build bridges instead of burning them. Tejan pointed at Deho. That human saved my ship. My life. He owed me nothing. Had no reason to help. But he did, because he chose compassion over indifference. That is strength. Real strength. The head counselor looked at Deho. Is this true? You healed a dragon ship? Deho stepped forward. His voice shook, but he spoke clearly. Yes, Tejan asked for help. Everyone else turned him away. I didn't, not because I'm special, but because it was right. Because healing is always better than harming. Pretty words from a species that wages war constantly. Yes, humans fight. We make terrible mistakes, but we also learn, we grow. We change. Deho thought about his grandfather. We try to be better than we were. That's all anyone can do. The chamber was silent. The counselors looked at each other. Having silent conversations, finally the head counselor spoke. Tejan of no family. You are right. The war was a mistake. Our pride blinded us. Our arrogance cost us dearly. He paused. The council has been divided. Half want to continue fighting. Half want peace. We have been deadlocked for weeks. Then break the deadlock, Tejan said. Choose peace. Before there is nothing left to save. Another counselor spoke up. If we seek peace, we must send an emissary. Someone the Kitsune will trust. Someone who opposed the war from the beginning. She looked at Teijin. Will you go? Will you speak for us? Teijin was silent. Then he nodded. I will. If you truly seek peace, not just a pause to regroup. Real peace. With reparations. With acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Agreed, the head counselor said. Other counselors nodded. Not all of them. But enough. I have one condition, Teijin said. Daiho comes with me. As witness. As reminder that other species can help us if we let them. The counselors looked at Daiho again. He felt their weight. Their judgment. Then slowly they nodded. So be it, the head counselor said. You will carry our peace offer to the Kitsune. 3 days passed. Daiho returned to the ship every morning. He checked Hana's heart. Monitored her vital signs. The synthetic patches were holding. Better than holding. The healthy tissue was growing, slowly regenerating. The ship was healing herself. Teijin never left her side. He slept in the central chamber on the floor near the heart. Daiho brought him food from the station cafeteria. Simple meals, rice, soup, vegetables. Teijin ate gratefully but never asked for more. You don't have to stay here all the time, Daiho said on the 3rd day. She's stable now. Teijin shook his head. She was there for me when I had nothing. When my own people turned away, I will not leave her when she needs me most. Daiho understood. He had seen that kind of loyalty before, in humans who loved their pets, in pilots who talked to their ships. But this was different, deeper. The bond between Teijin and Hana was real, physical, emotional, spiritual. Tell me about your world, Daiho said. He was checking readings on his scanner. But he wanted to talk. Wanted to know more about this strange dragon who had crashed into his life. Teijin was quiet for a moment. Then he began to speak. My world is called Yongsong. It means dragon star in your language. It is beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, mountains that touch the sky. His eyes grew distant with memory. Our cities are grown, not built. Living towers that reach into the clouds. Ships like Hana fill the skies. We do not take from our world. We live with it. It sounds peaceful, Daiho said. It was. Once. Teijin's expression hardened, but my people became proud. We thought ourselves superior to other species. When we encountered the Kitsune people at our border, we did not seek friendship. We demanded submission. The Kitsune, a fox-like species, clever, kind. They meant no harm. But our council saw them as inferior. As trespassers, Teijin clenched his fists. I spoke against war. I said we should negotiate, share the disputed space. But the elders would not listen. They called me a coward, a traitor to our proud heritage. So they exiled you? Yes. Stripped me of my family name. Forbade any dragon from helping me. Even heartmenders who might have saved Hana. He touched the ship's wall.
I have wandered for 2 years, alone, watching her die slowly.
Unable to return home. Unable to save her. Daiho felt anger rise in his chest. Not at Teijin. At the council. At a system that punished someone for wanting peace. Your elders are fools, he said bluntly. Teijin looked surprised. Then he laughed. A deep rumbling sound that echoed through the chamber. Yes, he agreed. They are. But they are powerful fools. And I'm just one dragon. One dragon who was right, Daiho pointed out. Did the war happen? I do not know. I have been cut off from all news of my people. Teijin's smile faded, but I fear the worst. My people are stubborn. Once they choose a path, they do not turn back. They sat in silence for a while. Daiho made notes on his tablet. Checked readings. Everything looked good. Hana's heart rate was improving. Stronger each day. Why did you help me? Teijin asked suddenly. You owed me nothing. You risked your life. Spent days working without payment. Why? Daiho thought about the question. Why had he helped? The simple answer was that Teijin asked. The deeper answer was harder to explain. My grandfather was a mechanic, Daiho said slowly. Back on Earth in a small town. He had a shop. Fixed cars. Trucks. Anything with an engine. He smiled at the memory. People always tried to pay him. But if someone was struggling, if they really needed help, he would fix their vehicle for free. Sometimes just for a meal. Sometimes for nothing at all. He sounds like a good man. He was. I asked him once why he did it. Why he worked for free when he could make money. Daeho looked at Taejin. He said that fixing things was a gift, and gifts are meant to be shared. He said that life would put opportunities in front of me, chances to help people, and I should take them, because that's what separates us from machines. The choice to care. Taejin's eyes glistened. Your grandfather was wise. Yeah, he was. Daeho stood up, stretched his sore back. Plus, I'd never worked on a living ship before. How could I pass that up? The learning experience alone was worth it. Taejin laughed again. So curiosity drove you as much as kindness? Maybe a little, Daeho admitted with a grin. Over the next week, Hana continued to improve. Her heart grew stronger. The lights throughout her body brightened. The temperature stabilized perfectly. She could maintain full life support now. Even some of the flight systems were coming back online. Daeho spent his evenings on the ship after his regular work. He and Taejin talked for hours. About their worlds, their lives, their dreams. Daeho learned about dragon culture. The bonding ceremonies between young dragons and their ships. The ancient songs they sang to encourage growth. The meditation practices that deepened the connection. Taejin learned about Earth. About cities with millions of people. About oceans without scales or wings. About humans who explored space in metal boxes because they couldn't grow their ships from living tissue. He was fascinated by human stubbornness, the way they pushed into the universe despite having no natural advantages. Your people are remarkable, Taejin said one evening. They were sitting in the observation chamber, watching the stars through Hana's transparent scales. You have no wings, no natural weapons, no biological connection to your vessels, yet you went to the stars anyway. Humans are good at finding ways to do impossible things, Daeho said, sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of stubbornness, sometimes just because someone said we couldn't. That is a powerful trait. It gets us in trouble a lot too, Daeho admitted. We make mistakes, big ones, but we keep trying, keep learning. They watched the stars together in comfortable silence, two beings from different worlds, different species, finding common ground in the vastness of space. On the 10th day, Hana's heart was beating at 70% capacity. Not perfect, not what it was before, but enough. Enough to fly, enough to live. The synthetic patches had fully integrated. New tissue was growing around them. She's ready, Daeho said. He ran his final diagnostic. Everything was green. All systems functional. You can fly again. Taejin stood. He placed both hands on the heart, closed his eyes. Daeho could see him communicating with her, feeling her response. When he opened his eyes, they were bright with joy. She is happy, Taejin said. She wants to fly, to feel space around her again. Then let's do a test flight, Daeho suggested. Nothing too stressful. Just around the station. Make sure everything works, Taejin nodded. He led Daeho to the bridge. It wasn't like a human bridge. No chairs, no control panels. Just a circular room with a raised platform in the center. Taejin stood on the platform, placed his hands on two organic pillars. Hold on, he said to Daeho. The ship moved, smooth and graceful. Daeho felt the gentle acceleration. Through the transparent walls, he watched the station slide past. Then they were free. In open space, Hana's wings unfurled, massive, beautiful. They caught stellar wind like sails. She flew. Daeho felt tears in his eyes. He didn't know why. Maybe because it was beautiful. Maybe because they had saved something precious. Maybe because he had been part of a miracle. Taejin was crying too, but he was also laughing. Pure joy radiating from him. Thank you, he said to both Daeho and his ship. Thank you. Thank you. They flew circles around Station 7. Hana moved like she was dancing, celebrating life, celebrating survival. The other station workers came to the windows to watch. They had never seen anything like it. When they finally docked again, Daeho felt sad. The work was done. Hana was healed. Soon Taejin would leave, would continue his wandering, and Daeho would go back to fixing normal ships, but he wouldn't forget this. Couldn't forget this. Some moments changed you forever. Daeho was cleaning his tools when Taejin found him. The dragon looked troubled. His golden eyes were dark with worry. Something is wrong, Taejin said. Daeho dropped his wrench. Is it Hana? Did something fail? No, she is well, but Taejin hesitated. I received a message. From my homeworld. The first communication in 2 years. They walked to Hana together. Inside, Taejin showed Daeho the message. It appeared as glowing symbols on the wall. Dragon writing. Daeho couldn't read it, but Taejin translated. It is from my sister, Mirai. His voice was tight. The war happened. Just as I feared. The council attacked the Kitsune without warning. The fighting has been brutal, thousands dead on both sides. I'm sorry, Daeho said quietly. But that is not the worst part. Taejin touched the symbols. They shifted, showing new text. The Kitsune had allies. Species we did not know about. Powerful ones. Now my people face extinction. The council has called for all dragons to return, to defend our world. They have lifted all exiles. They are asking me to come home. Daeho understood the problem immediately. But if you go back, you'll have to fight. Join the war you tried to stop? Yes. Taejin sat heavily. His massive frame seemed smaller somehow. Defeated. If I return, they will expect me to bond with a warship, to join the fleets, to kill Kitsune soldiers who only defend their homes. Can you refuse? To refuse would make me a traitor. They would execute me. And Hana too. He looked at the heart chamber. But to go back and fight? That goes against everything I believe. Everything I stood for. Daeho sat beside him. He didn't have answers. This was too big. Too complicated. What does your sister say? Does she want you to come back? Taejin read more of the message. Mirai says she understands if I do not return. She says I was right. The council was wrong. But she also says our mother is dying. Killed in one of the battles. She asks me to come home to say goodbye. The pain in Taejin's voice made Daeho's chest hurt. This was impossible. Every choice led to suffering. My mother supported my exile, Taejin continued. She said I shamed our family. But she is still my mother. I still love her. And now she is dying because of a war I could not stop. They sat in silence. Daeho tried to imagine being in Taejin's position. Exiled for being right, called back only when everything fell apart, asked to fight in a war he opposed, to lose his mother because of pride and stubbornness. I don't think there's a right answer here, Daeho said finally. Whatever you choose, you'll lose something. The question is what you can live with. Taejin looked at him. What would you do? Me? Daeho laughed bitterly. I ran away from Earth, left my family, my home. Because I couldn't handle the noise and the crowds and the pressure. I'm not brave like you. I avoid hard choices. But you chose to help me. That was brave. That was different. That was just fixing a ship. No. Taejin shook his head. You chose to help someone everyone else turned away. You risked your life for a stranger. You saw something dying and chose to fight for it. That is courage. Daeho thought about his grandfather again. What would he say? What wisdom would he offer? My grandfather told me once that courage isn't about never being afraid. Daeho said slowly. It's about doing what's right even when you're terrified. Even when it costs you everything. He met Taejin's eyes. You spoke against the war knowing it would cost you your home. Your family. Your entire life. That was courage. Now you have to decide if going back is right. Or if staying away is right. Only you can know that. Taejin was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I want to see my mother. Say goodbye. But I do not want to fight. Is that selfish? No, that's human. Daeho paused. Well, you know what I mean. That's natural. You can love your people without agreeing with their choices. But if I go back and refuse to fight, they will kill me. Maybe. Or maybe things have changed. Maybe losing so many lives has taught them something. Daeho didn't really believe that, but he wanted to give Taejin hope. Taejin stood. He walked to the heart chamber, placed his hands on Hana. What do you think? He asked her. Should we go home? Daeho couldn't hear Hana's response, but he saw Taejin's face change, saw understanding flow through him. She says we should go, Taejin said. She says running away never solves anything, that I will regret it forever if I do not see my mother one last time. He smiled sadly. She also says that she is strong now. Thanks to you. If we must run again, she can carry me far and fast. Smart ship, Daeho said. They spent the next 2 days preparing for departure. Taejin gathered supplies. Daeho did final checks on all of Hana's systems. Everything was working perfectly. The heart was stable, strong. She could make the journey to Yongseong. On the last evening, Bora, the medical officer, came to say goodbye. She brought food, a proper meal. Rice, grilled meat, vegetables, fresh fruit. They ate together in Hana's main chamber. I still can't believe you saved a living ship, Bora said. She kept staring at the walls. The glowing organic technology. This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Deho saved her, Tajin corrected. I could only watch and hope. We saved her together, Deho said. I had the skills. You had the knowledge. Hana had the will to live. All three were necessary. That's very philosophical, Bora teased. But her eyes were serious. You did something impossible. Both of you. People are going to talk about this. The human mechanic and the dragon who healed a dying ship. I just hope the story has a happy ending, Tajin said quietly. That night, after Bora left, Deho couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Tajin flying into a war zone, into hatred and violence. The dragon had survived exile, had nearly lost his ship, and now he was going back to face possible execution. It wasn't fair, but life rarely was. Deho had learned that young, when his grandfather died, when his father's business failed, when the city became too much and he ran away to the stars. Fairness was a luxury. Survival was the reality. He got up and walked to the docking bay. Tajin was there, standing beside Hana, looking up at her massive form, couldn't sleep either. Deho asked. Tajin shook his head. I keep thinking about what comes next. The uncertainty. The fear. Fear is smart. Fear keeps you alive. Deho stood beside him. But don't let it paralyze you. You already made your choice. Now you see it through. Will you come with me? The question shocked Deho. What? Come with me to Yongsong. As my friend. As Hana's healer. Tajin looked at him. I know it is dangerous. I know I have no right to ask. But I do not want to face this alone. Deho's mind raced. Leave the station? Fly into a war zone? Risk his life for a people who weren't even his own? It was insane, reckless, stupid, yes, he heard himself say. I'll come with you. Tajin's eyes widened. Truly? Truly. Deho felt strange. Scared but also excited. You're right. I can monitor Hana during the journey. Make sure the repairs hold. And maybe, he paused, maybe I can help somehow. With the kitsune. With peace. I don't know. But I have to try. Tajin grabbed him in a hug, a massive scaled embrace that lifted Deho off his feet. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Deho laughed despite his fear, despite the insanity of what he'd just agreed to. You know I'm probably going to regret this, right? Probably, Tajin agreed. But he was smiling. But we will regret it together. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Deho packed his tools, his personal belongings. He left a message for the station commander, said he was taking a leave of absence. Didn't say why. Didn't say where he was going. Just that he'd be back. Maybe. At dawn they launched. Hana's wings spread wide. She caught the stellar wind and flew. Away from Station 7, away from safety, toward uncertainty. Deho watched the station shrink behind them. His home for 5 years. His refuge from the chaos of Earth. Now he was leaving, chasing a new kind of chaos. A dragon's war. A mother's death. A chance for peace. His grandfather would have been proud. Or maybe he would have called Deho an idiot. Probably both. The stars stretched ahead. Infinite possibilities. Infinite dangers. They flew into them together. Deho spent 3 hours studying the ship's heart. He took notes, drew diagrams, asked hundreds of questions. Tajin answered each one patiently. The heart worked like a fusion reactor and a biological organ combined. It converted stellar radiation into energy. The energy flowed through channels in the ship like blood vessels. It powered everything. Flight systems, life support, even Tajin's living quarters. But the heart was old. Very old. Tajin explained that his ship was grown, not built. She had been alive for 200 years. In dragon terms, that was young. But something had gone wrong. A disease. A corruption in the cellular structure. It started small, Tajin said. He sat on the floor beside Deho. His massive frame looked oddly vulnerable. Just a small dark spot. I thought it would heal on its own. Our ships are resilient. They repair themselves. He shook his head. But this spread, like poison. Deho examined the dark tissue through his scanner. The device wasn't made for biological material, but it picked up something. The cells were dying, breaking down, and the decay was spreading. On your world, your people, Daiho said slowly. Do you have doctors for ships like this? Taijin's expression darkened. Yes. We call them heartmenders. They train for decades, learn the old ways. He looked away. But I cannot return home. Why not? There was a long silence. Daiho waited. He had learned that pushing people to talk never worked. You had to let them choose. Finally, Taijin spoke. I am an outcast, he said quietly. I disagreed with the Council of Elders. They wanted to go to war with a neighboring species, a small dispute over territory. I spoke against it. He touched the ship's wall gently. They exiled me, stripped my family name, told me never to return. That's harsh, Daiho said. That is our way. Honor and tradition above all else. Taijin smiled sadly. I do not regret my choice. The war would have killed thousands. But now I pay the price. No heartmender will help me. And Hana, he gestured to the ship around them. She suffers for my mistakes. Hana, Daiho repeated. That's her name? Yes. She has been with me since I was young. We grew up together. On my world, a dragon and their ship are bonded, connected. I feel her pain, her fear. Taijin's voice broke. I am failing her. Daiho looked at the dying heart again. An idea was forming in his mind. It was crazy. Probably wouldn't work. But maybe. Just maybe. The dark tissue, he said. It's dead, right? Can't be healed? Correct. Once the corruption sets in, those cells cannot recover. But the healthy tissue around it is still alive? Yes, but the corruption spreads. Eventually, it will consume the entire heart. Daiho stood up. He walked around the heart, examining it from all angles. His mind was racing. He thought about human medicine, surgery, transplants. What if the same principles applied? What if we remove the dead tissue, he asked. Taijin looked shocked. Remove it? You mean cut it away? Yes, like surgery. Remove the corrupted parts before they spread further. But that would damage the heart, reduce its capacity. She might not have enough power to fly. Maybe, Daiho admitted. But right now she's dying. If we do nothing, she'll have zero capacity. At least this way she has a chance. Taijin stood. He walked to the heart and placed both hands on it. Daiho saw the dragon's eyes close, like he was listening, feeling. The connection between them was real. Deep. After a long moment, Taijin opened his eyes. Hana agrees. She would rather try than give up. Daiho felt his stomach tighten. Now he had to actually do this. Okay, I'll need supplies, medical equipment, and, he paused, I'll need your help. You know her better than anyone. Anything, Taijin said immediately. Tell me what you need. For the next 6 hours, they prepared. Daiho called in favors from other workers on the station. A medical officer named Bora brought supplies from the clinic, surgical tools, sterilization equipment, synthetic tissue that might work as patches. She asked no questions, just handed everything over and wished them luck. Daiho set up a sterile field around the heart, as sterile as possible in a living ship. Taijin brought specialized tools from his own supplies, devices designed for working with organic technology. They looked alien and strange, but Daiho learned how to use them. Before we start, Taijin said, I must warn you, if she goes into shock, if her heart stops completely, we will have only minutes, maybe less. The backup systems will fail. The ship will seal itself. We could be trapped. Daiho swallowed hard. Trapped how long? Until she dies completely. Days, perhaps, with no life support. Taijin met his eyes. You can still walk away. This is not your burden. Daiho thought about it, really thought about it. He could leave. Go back to his repair bay. Fix normal ships. Stay safe. No one would blame him. But then he thought about Taejin's words. She would rather try than give up. "Let's do this," Daeho said. They began. Daeho made the first incision with a laser scalpel. The heart shuddered. Around them, the ship's lights flickered. Taejin placed his hands on the wall, whispering in his own language. Soothing words. Comforting sounds. The surgery was delicate work. The corrupted tissue had spread deeper than Daeho expected. He had to cut carefully, remove the dead cells without damaging the healthy ones. It was like carving out cancer. One wrong move could kill the entire organ. Sweat dripped down his face. His hands were steady. Years of precision work with tiny engine parts had trained him for this. He worked slowly, methodically. Taejin assisted, using tools to hold tissue back, to seal blood vessels, to monitor Hana's vital signs. Hours passed. Daeho lost track of time. His entire world narrowed to the heart in front of him. Cut, remove, seal, patch, over and over. The dark tissue came away in chunks. He placed it in a containment unit, got it away from the healthy parts. Finally, after what felt like forever, he made the last cut. The corrupted tissue was gone. The heart looked smaller now, scarred, but clean. The darkness was removed. "Now the patches," Daeho said. His voice was hoarse. Taejin handed him the synthetic tissue. It was designed to bond with organic material, encourage healing. Daeho placed each patch carefully, sealed the wounds, made sure everything was secure. When he finished, he stepped back. His hands were shaking. "It's done." They waited. The heart pulsed. Slow, weak, but steady. Around them, the ship's lights stabilized. The temperature regulated. Life support hummed back to life. Taejin fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his scaled face. "She lives," he whispered. "She still lives." Daeho sat down hard. Exhaustion hit him like a wave, but he smiled. Against all odds, they had done it. A human mechanic and an exiled dragon had performed surgery on a living starship, and it had worked. Outside, the stars shone a little brighter. Or maybe that was just how Daeho felt. The repair bay smelled like burnt metal and engine oil. Daeho wiped the grease from his hands onto his already dirty coveralls. He had been working on the cargo ship's engine for 3 hours straight. His back hurt and his fingers were sore. Another long day, he said to himself. Daeho was a mechanic on Station 7, a small outpost on the edge of human space. Not many people wanted to work this far from Earth, but Daeho liked the quiet. He liked fixing things. Ships came and went. Traders, explorers, sometimes military vessels. He fixed them all. The station was old. The walls were gray and covered with patches. The lights flickered sometimes, but it was home. Daeho had lived here for 5 years now. He knew every corner, every broken panel, every strange sound the station made at night. Outside his bay window, he could see the stars. Millions of them. They never got old. Back on Earth, in the city where he grew up, you could barely see the sky. Too much light. Too many buildings. Here, space was everywhere, infinite and beautiful. His work tablet beeped. A new job. Daeho sighed and picked it up. The message was strange. It came from Docking Bay 12. That bay was for large ships only. Military cruisers. Colony transports. Big stuff. Emergency repair needed. Immediate assistance required. That was all it said. No details. No ship name. Daeho frowned. Usually the messages told him what was broken. Engine trouble. Life support issues. Hull damage. This one said nothing. He grabbed his toolbox and headed toward Bay 12. The walk took 10 minutes through the station's long corridors. He passed a few other workers. They nodded at him. Everyone knew everyone on Station 7. Only 43 people lived here permanently. When he reached Bay 12, Daeho stopped. His mouth opened in surprise. The ship was massive. But that wasn't the strange part. The ship was organic. It had scales. Dark blue scales that shimmered under the bay lights. The hull curved like a living creature. It had wings, folded against its body, but definitely wings. What in the world? Daeho whispered. He had heard rumors. Stories from drunk traders in the station bar. They talked about the Ryujin, a race of beings that looked like the ancient dragons from Earth legends, but Daiho thought they were just stories, made-up tales to pass the time. He walked closer. His boots echoed on the metal floor. The ship was warm. He could feel heat radiating from it. Living ships were rare. Most species used metal and circuits, but some of the older races grew their ships. Biological technology. It made human engineers nervous. A door opened in the ship's side. Not a mechanical door. The scales simply parted like skin. Daiho swallowed hard. He had fixed 1,000 ships, but never one like this. Hello? He called out. A figure emerged from the opening. Daiho took a step back. The being was enormous, at least 3 meters tall. It had the body of a human but covered in blue scales. Its face was long with golden eyes and small horns curving back from its head. Wings were folded against its back. A long tail swayed behind it, a dragon, a real dragon. The creature walked down a ramp that extended from the ship. Each step was careful, gentle. When it reached the bottom, it looked at Daiho. Those golden eyes were bright, intelligent, and sad. "You are the mechanic?" the dragon asked. Its voice was deep but soft. It spoke perfect Korean. That surprised Daiho. "Yes," Daiho managed to say. "I'm Daiho, I fix ships." The dragon lowered its head. A bow, a sign of respect. "My name is Taejin. I need your help." Daiho felt his fear fade a little. The dragon seemed polite, calm, not dangerous. "What's wrong with your ship?" Taejin turned to look at the vessel. "She is dying," he said quietly. "Her heart is failing. I have traveled far to find someone who might help." Her heart? Daiho walked closer to the ship. He reached out and touched the scales. They were warm and smooth. He could feel a pulse, faint and irregular, like a sick animal. "Living ships have a core," Taejin explained. "It is biological. It pumps energy through her body like blood through veins. Without it, she cannot fly. She cannot even maintain life support." The dragon's voice cracked. "She is in pain." Daiho had never worked on a living ship before. He knew machines, circuits, engines, not biology. "I don't know if I can help," he admitted. "I'm not a doctor. I fix metal things." Taejin looked at him. Those golden eyes held so much hope, so much desperation. "Please," the dragon said. "I have been to 12 stations, 15 repair facilities. Everyone turns me away. They do not understand living ships. They fear what they do not know." He paused. "You are my last hope." Daiho felt something in his chest. A tightness. He thought about turning away, telling this dragon he couldn't help. It would be easier, safer. But then he looked at the ship. He felt her pulse under his hand. "Weak and struggling, let me look," Daiho heard himself say. "I can't promise anything, but I'll try." Taejin's eyes widened. Relief washed over his scaled face. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much." They walked up the ramp together. Inside, the ship was nothing like human vessels. No metal walls. No hard edges. Everything was organic. The floor felt soft under Daiho's boots. The walls glowed faintly with bioluminescence. It was like being inside a living creature. Because he was, Taejin led him to the center chamber. There, suspended in the middle of the room, was the heart. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. A massive organ the size of a small car. It pulsed slowly. Too slowly. Parts of it were dark. Dying tissue. Daiho set down his toolbox. He stared at the heart. This was impossible. He couldn't fix this. He wasn't qualified. He wasn't trained, but then he looked at Taejin. The dragon stood beside him, watching the failing heart of his ship. His friend, his home, and Daiho understood. This wasn't just a ship. This was someone Taejin loved. "Tell me everything," Daiho said, rolling up his sleeves. "How does it work? What does it need?" Taejin began to explain, and Daiho listened. Really listened. Maybe he couldn't fix this. Maybe it was too different from anything he knew. But he would try. Sometimes trying was enough. Outside the ship, the stars watched, silent witnesses to a small miracle beginning, a human and a dragon, working together against impossible odds.